So what kinds of positive and good things happened for you at the retreat? What was your favorite or most powerful experience?
I think for me, it's been like that game when you're a kid. I think we call it red light, green light. Did you guys play that?
Yeah.
You turn around and then you look, and then yeah. So like I would like look at somebody. Let's say I met at another summit before, and then I turn around like green light, red light, and I turn around and they're closer, you know, and then the people like there's been some people too who it's like it's such a incredible challenge for them to even be at something like this that they like cannot even deal with the realness and honesty, so they like disappear. But then red light, green light, I turn around and they're back. So that's what's very interesting for me is because it's like just putting out breadcrumbs, right? And then people, they want to come forward. They come forward, but like when you're not looking kind of thing. And it's like next thing you know, they're in a different space. And then the other ones who are like almost like lurking like another planet, like Pluto or something, like in the very back, very, very far away. Like where there's almost no light from the sun left, right? They're just lurking and they're there. But there's quite a few people still there. And you see them coming forward, sometimes. And it's like pretty amazing to me. Because there's no way to make somebody, move forward or whatever. It's impossible, I feel like if it's going right, like it just happens naturally, and you just keep putting it out there. And then it's like, I turn around like, whoa, and like that's like shocking, really. I can't really, the energy of that whole concept is like amazing. It's like amazing. I know there's a lot going on in people's minds that in a sense I don't even have to know about because I'm not a voyeur type person, right? Like I don't need to know everything. I put the things that I know they're struggles. I know they're there, but I'm not here to watch. I don't want to, I'm not a voyeur. Like I don't like, I like, in every sense of the word, like if there's people like even having sex, like I don't care. Like I would much prefer to be the guy doing it. And if somebody's watching or not watching, it doesn't matter. It's just doing what I'm doing with energy, And if it's visible or it's seen or whatever, that's fine. That's totally fine. But yeah, I think that's for the struggle for me too, is to separate and not to, just to put it out there and then it's almost like the internal process that goes on there and people decide what they're going to do. And it's like, it is everybody who comes and everybody who does this stuff. It's your success, it's your movement, it's nobody else's, it's nobody. It's just you saw the things and then you said, oh, I want to move towards that, I know for me, like when I go to something like you were talking about all this Buddhist stuff, I don't, like when I am around like some kind of spiritual concept or whatever, I always take the perspective of like, I don't believe this shit type feeling, That's always my attitude when I go to any spiritual thing. But then when I am there, it seems like every time the person always says I'm the most, and I'm like, why? I don't care. This is stupid or whatever. And they're like, yes. And I'm like, and just like, I'm like, what does this mean? What is all this stuff, But I think, yeah, I was just thinking like I really wanted to do this. I really want to do like a 3-week maybe trip to Japan sometime and like end up basically start in Tokyo and end up at Koyasan down in near Osaka, which is a temple. And I went there before and it's a Buddhist temple and like it's for anybody who's like another religion, like I don't know how to describe this. I think when I was in high school and I was very into, doing what I was doing, I was afraid of other concepts because I thought they were going to somehow be dangerous or something. But my feeling is that when something is real, like you come towards the concept and it's like all it does is give you more insight. That's it. And more vision. So if you have shitty eyes, you get like glasses or something, and you can see better. It doesn't take you down anymore. The concept gives you more understanding and ability to, discern for yourself what's going on. And when I was at Koyasan, I remember my brother-in-law wanted to go, and I didn't even know what it was. But it's like if you've ever seen a Japanese temple with humongous, tall, straight trees, you probably saw Koyasan. It's like one of the best temples in Japan. The whole thing is amazing. And the whole thing from the beginning to the end, like the monks, the music, the trees, the temple, the food, it's all like vegetarian. And then in the morning you go to this chanting thing. There's all these people in the room and everybody's just like chanting. And I don't know how it'll be if you don't speak Japanese, but for me, I'm just sitting there and I'm just chanting with everybody, and just almost like mindlessly chanting, just kind of just chanting, just with a kind of not a serious air, but like a amused kind of feeling, just chanting, and the sound is really cool. Like everybody's just doing this stuff, It kind of echoes in this room, It's all wooden and everything, and you're up in this thing. It's like the oldest part of Japan. It's like the oldest museum, Japanese museum is nearby, and everything. Like it's almost like you're going back in time because it's like not even a part of modern Japan. This area, really, it really isn't. And very strange, almost like you went through a wormhole or something. It's very strange, actually, thinking about it now. My brother-in-law brought me there. He wanted to go. And we drove up there, and I went through it, and it was very meaningful. I don't know why. But I'd like to take the crew, and then experience all aspects of life on the way down. Sluts, titties, pink bikinis, fish, smells, rocks, sun, things that the Japanese do, like the way they rake rocks into shapes and just kind of do these things that they think are important, like tying trees up and things. And I was talking about this earlier. We were talking about Jews and American and Japanese, and I don't want to build up Japanese because nobody's any better or whatever, but it's like there's a sense that people care about things. Like it's in Japan, I really feel like in America, like a lot of people, they just don't care about things. They just don't. Yeah, it's like they just don't have any self-respect or something. And it's very strange for me to see. Because I really got into that, I think this one can be easily, there's a lot of people who they degrade themselves. They don't have any, they're not being paid, they don't care. It's like they need a tip, I think the attitude is like, there's no tip necessary. Like, it's like happy to do the service kind of thing. Happy to, they're kind of like, that's why I like what Jay was doing, because he's just like, oh, dishes need cleaning, I'll clean the dishes. And then he's like cleaning all the dishes. Then other people are like, oh, they look at the dirty dishes, they're like, that's right, dishes need to be cleaned, and like that kind of like thing without just seeing things that need to be done and just getting them done, just need to be done. A tree needs to be tied up like a bonsai, and then you're going to tie it up. And rocks and stones and wood and stuff needs to be put into shapes to represent meaning, and then it has to be done. So it'll be done, Even though, like I was in Japan for a long time before I knew. Like I literally walked by a million of these things and never noticed. Like I never noticed. I just didn't see it at all. And then just one day this girl said, can you help me translate this master's thesis into English? And I said, oh, okay. So we started reading. It was about Japanese gardens. And now I think that's when I learned the most about Japanese culture, was translating that document, because I just like had totally not noticed all the work around me, like that they had taken really seriously. You know, like these temples, like a lot of them, like, well, like in Hamamatsu. No, not Hamamatsu. Takamatsu. In Takamatsu. The garden, I might have said it before, but I just was so blown away with it. It took 400 years to design. So 400 years. 400 years. And the garden's not that big. And 400 years, so how many generations of gardeners? And it's the same people, same family. So the son does it after the father and all that, right? All the way down. And then they would watch every season. The sun comes up, and then a tree blocks some light that should be on this rock. So they dig the tree up, you know, and they move the tree so that when the sun comes, it hits the rock, right? And then in spring, the green tree comes up, but it blocks the yellow flowers. So they have to move the yellow flowers so the yellow flowers are visible, you know. And then the yellow flowers are too tall. So the red flowers are behind, but you can't see the red flowers. So they move the red flowers. So there's this sense of aesthetic, but there's also each piece has a meaning, right? Each piece has a meaning in Japanese society. So one is a god and energy and all this stuff. And so they're not just moving aesthetic, but the aesthetic part is just like CG, like modern, you know, computer graphics, you know, is where the colors just explode and everything moves into the perfect shape. But it's just a 400-year-old garden that's doing it. But you have to be there the whole year to see it, you know. So if you walk through the garden, you would just, you know, pay your $4 or whatever, and you just see the garden and just walk through, right? And you might see one day, right? You know, you might not even see one day like me. I didn't even see one day, but eventually you might see one day. And then you realize that there's 24 hours in a day, right? So all the different times of the day, you know, and I'm sure like when the garden closes at night, the way the Japanese are, like if you turn a Japanese doll upside down, old Japanese doll, it'll be carved in the place that you can't see, even though nobody sees it. You know, nobody will ever see it. But it's carved just like the part you can see, right? So they've done all that. It's all part of the thing. It doesn't matter if anybody sees it. It's just what needs to be done, right? The thing needs to have that, right? It has to have that other part. And I think there's something to that. You know, there's something to that. And there's always more, you know. There's another time of day, there's a season, there's a storm, there's something. And you see this other aspect of something that you've seen, you know, 364 times, whatever, or 364,000 times, you know, if you count the hours, million, whatever it is, you know, seconds. And you see more, you know, and you finally realize something, you know, you see something new, you know. And I think that attitude, like, I think just knowing that exists, you know, just knowing something exists is very enlightening, because so many things are just like honestly, I almost can't go on an American tour for anything, because I listen to it and it's so paper thin. Like there's nothing there. It's a story about some guy, and I don't even know if it's true. You know, I don't even know if the guy really was like that, because I know the way people twist things today. So how can I know that this guy that wrote something in the Constitution was really like this? I don't know. You know, there's no way. It's just words. It's fucking words. Usually when you go to an American tour, there's not even anything there. It's just stories. In the Japanese garden, there's real things. There's stuff to look at. There's old wood. There's things that were there that you can't make them go away or make them be there, you know. Like, it's almost like it's all a story in many countries. Like, everything's just a story. And the story, as you see today with modern media, is just twisted, can be made to fit to whatever the fuck is going on. You know, and I think that's the kind of thing that I think would be good to see. And that's what I kind of saw. I started with one thing, but it really is connected, because it's not about what. Yeah, I won't say what it is. Yeah, okay, all right.